You've heard us talk about them. They're in, and they're on the website.
Absolutely. Our brand new America's Diesel podcast, branded bills, badass, flex fit, performance material, sweat stain resistant. It literally feels like it cools your head.
I don't
It's
know how
amazing.
that's possible, but
I don't
somehow
know.
it is. Yeah, you can rock it. You know, I'm more of a flat bill kind of guy. You can do that. You can curve it. For all you taco holder guys, you can even throw that in there.
Yeah.
And then snap back with a little bit of the flex fit.
Yeah.
Big head approved, small head approved.
And it's extremely comfortable. I almost guarantee, I say almost guarantee. No, I guarantee this is the most comfortable hat you will ever wear. And the logo, rubber, awesome.
Yeah.
Came out great.
Super detailed rubber on there, so it's never going to fade on you. If you want to get one of these in your hands, they are $50, shipped to the lower 48, plus tax, if applicable in your state. Just go on the dieselpowerproducts.com, search hat, look for the fantastic Jam and Eagle logo, pick yourself up some before they're out of stock.
Yeah.
You're listening to America's Diesel Podcast.
Hey, you want to hear a joke, Corey?
Yeah, let's hear it.
Did I tell you the joke?
I don't know.
Did I tell you a joke today?
Not today, no.
Okay.
It's a
I
good
told
one.
Ben.
Yeah, it's a good one.
So there's these two fish, right?
Okay.
And they're sitting in a tank. The one fish looks over at the other fish. What do you think he says? How the fuck do we drive this thing? Knee slapper. Pretty good, right? You
I
get
get
it?
it. Yeah,
Okay. Because it's like a tank. Like,
Yeah,
Yeah.
like a boom boom tank, not a water
Yeah.
tank.
Should go boom boom.
Yeah, a boom boom tank. Big gun tank.
Yeah.
Big gun tank.
I got a hole in your joke here.
What?
Fish can't breathe out of water.
Well, they also can't talk.
That's true.
And I don't know if you know this or not, but they don't know how to drive tanks.
Well, we don't know that.
We don't.
It's just true.
We don't know
know
that.
that. We've never asked them. They never tried.
Yes.
They
Don't assume that they don't know how to.
Hey man, you just assume that I'm smart enough to know what a tank is
Yeah.
or fish,
Or a fish's level of knowledge of tanks.
let alone water.
Yeah, I mean, come on.
The stuff that
Yeah.
the plants drink, like from the toilet.
Yeah. It wouldn't surprise me if fish are could be like one of the smartest things, because they just sit back in your house like while you're looking at shit. Like they could be looking at it too,
Just watching
just watching everything.
freaking
They
super
got
smart
nothing else
fish.
to do. Yeah.
I'll tell you what fish probably do know about free spin kits. And that's what we're going to talk about today on America's
Good
Diesel
transition.
Podcast. Yeah.
This week's podcast episode is brought to you by Fuel Bomb Diesel Additive, an additive designed for diesel enthusiasts, made by diesel enthusiasts. Ben, take it away.
Hell yeah, dude. So this is our in-house Fuel Bomb fuel additive for your diesel truck. Our biggest thing here is making sure that you can pretty much always have diesel additive on you all the time. You've got a lot of other additives out on the market that they have, anti-gel in there all the time. They have cetane in there all the time. They end up being big and bulky bottles. Our standard everyday diesel fuel additive is 1 ounce per 32 gallons, and that's its main job is to make sure that your fuel system stays lubricated and prevents the formation of algae. And it should also help you in colder climates too.
Should definitely help you in colder climates. Along with cleaning your fuel system and maintaining it, it'll also help you bump that cetane number up for a more efficient burn of your diesel fuel. And if cetane is just what you're after, there's the Fuel Bomb Hellfire, which is our straight 8+ cetane enhancer.
Yeah, and you guys asked, and we brought them back. We did go away from the bottles that didn't have the measuring little parts in there. We brought them back for you, so now you can measure out your 1 ounce per 32 gallons for the F-Bomb or 4 ounces per 32 gallons for the Hellfire.
Both these additives are available on our website, dieselpowerproducts.com. Now let's get back to that episode.
Thanks for tuning in. You can find us on Google Play.
Hold on,
SoundCloud.
Ben. It's not free spin kits.
What is it?
Lockout hubs. I'll tell you.
Yeah, okay. Okay. You can find us on Google Play, SoundCloud, iTunes, Spotify, anywhere you find podcasts. You can find us by searching America's Diesel Podcast. I greatly appreciate a bunch of you guys sending in your Spotify wrap-ups for the year. You guys listen to a lot of minutes of us. Appreciate it. We're like,
You didn't tell me this.
I literally just got them probably like an hour ago or so.
Oh.
I
Yeah, people
forgot
have
they
been-
do that.
Yeah, people have been spending screenshots of their Spotify wrapped up for the year or whatnot. It shows how many minutes of podcasts they've listened to.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Was it a lot?
It's a lot. But I mean, the cool thing is a lot of people listen to the same podcast we are. A lot of people listen to Joe Rogan.
Sure.
A lot of people listen to the Diesel Podcast.
Yeah.
But it's cool to see us up there, like as like people's actual number 1 or number 2 podcast
Yeah,
to
that's
listen
cool.
to. I appreciate that. It makes me happy.
I like that.
Yeah, you can find us on all of those venues as well as on the Instagrams and Facebooks by searching America's Diesel Podcast. We do have a Facebook group. I genuinely appreciate everybody that is in that group. If you have tried to get into that group, I do have questions on there. They may seem open-ended, but you do have to answer them, and there are wrong answers. There are many right answers, but there are also many wrong answers. And I'll be honest, there's one guy that I have not let in right now, and he's been sitting in limbo for the last like 2 weeks, and I'm waiting for him to just message me and say something.
Also, the Eagle's name is not Hart.
It's not Hart, no. But yeah, definitely check out that Facebook group. We do talk a lot of shit, but also post links, good conversations, all that kind of good stuff. I definitely try and make sure that that group is actually people that listen to the podcast. We're not letting in just randos and whatnot. Tyler, reviews.
Oh, yeah. Keep those reviews coming in. We're moving up in the ranks. We greatly appreciate every single one of them, especially the people that steal other people's phones and leave reviews on them. That's super fun to read.
Thanks, Mitch.
Yeah, thanks, Mitch. Keep those reviews coming in. Screenshot your 5-star review. Send it to podcast@dieselpowerproducts.com. Make sure to include a picture of your truck and an address that we can send a decal to. It looks just like the logos on our caps.
Which are for sale. You probably heard that ad at the beginning of the podcast, though. But yeah, $50, shipped to the lower 48. It is the best hat you will ever buy in your life.
Yes.
Fact. If you need diesel parts for your pickup, make sure and check out dieselpowerproducts.com. We do have sales technicians on the phone 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. Pacific time, Monday through Friday. They answer any kind of questions you have. If you're looking at a part and you see the quick ship logo, that is a verified in-stock part. You're ready to rock, pull the trigger. You can pretty much be assumed that's either going to ship out that same day or the following business day, depending on what time of day you order. But we definitely try the best we can to make sure that anything that we have a team of people that make sure the quick ship logo is accurate. Like sometimes a logo may go on and off a part.
Yeah, I think it's
day.
actually me right now doing that.
Are you the team?
Yeah.
So at one point we had like 4 people doing it.
Yeah.
Right now
It's been me
Tyler.
just lately. Especially it was, a little bit of some stress on my shoulders, especially before the big sale days.
Yeah.
Making sure everything is correct
Yeah.
with that for stock levels and all
Coming
that
at it.
good stuff.
Right.
But
2 more things. If you are borrowing parts for your diesel pickup and you are a podcast listener, make sure that we find out. If you're talking to a sales technician, let them know. If you're placing an order online, in the order notes section, just type podcast so I can find it later on and give you some special attention should a need arise. If you place an order and you forgot to, don't worry. Shoot me a DM, shoot me an email, freaking whatever. Just let me know order number, email, name, whatever. I'll find it and flag it. That's the guys upstairs know that we are down here farting around, drinking beer, but it results in money. And that, at the end of the day, is what makes the world go round.
Yeah.
Fact. Also, the Black Friday, Cyber Monday just happened. The day we're filming this is, Wednesday, November 30th. So Black Friday, Cyber Monday just ended on Monday. And I will say, guys, podcast listeners, you guys fucking showed up.
you guys killed it.
You
You
guys
guys made us look really good.
You really did. Seriously. So if you're listening to this, and well, actually, this is going to come out afterwards, but if you did place an order
Appreciate
Black
it.
Friday, Cyber Monday, let me know because those stats genuinely do help. And if you are listening to this podcast, but you are not buying parts from Diesel Power Products, I do want to know why. Good, bad, happy, or sad. I have answered some questions on the on stuff like that on our the Facebook group. I mean, a lot of the times, if it looks like you can't find it on the website, it never hurts to post up in the group and ask if it's there.
Yeah.
Because like there was a gentleman that was talking about like a second gen swap kit for his 3rd gen, and he ended up buying from someone else. I was like, we actually have, I think, pretty much the exact kit you're looking for from Industrial Injection. Like, I have no problems with who he bought it from or what the kit that he bought because it's actually a good high quality kit. But a lot of the times we may have it. It's just you may just not be able to find it on the website. So
It happens.
just throwing that out. It does happen.
Got a lot of parts,
We have a lot of parts, and a lot of times, if there are parts that we maybe don't sell a ton of all the time, they do get a little bit buried because usually parts populate in order of their popularity. So if it's not a super popular part, it may be kind of sunk down in there. It's kind of hard to find. So I totally understand. But let's get this episode on the road. This is a viewer request and wanted us to do an episode on free spin kits, aka lockout hubs, because Tyler's going to school me on that right now. Which
No, I'm not going to school you on it
Okay.
because it should be called a free spin kit because you did a, I don't know what, it was like a little video. I think it was on the COVID Cummins talking about the free spin kit. And you were gone and I had to respond to I think it was like a TikTok. I don't remember. I had to respond to questions. I had to answer the
Yeah.
questions, and every other question or post was like, it's just lockout hubs. It's just lockout hubs. Like, yes, it includes lockout hubs, but the thing you have to remember with Ram trucks, and this is specifically Ram trucks we're talking about here.
Yeah.
It's called a free spin kit, and we're going to explain why, because it frees up the front end.
Yeah.
And again, we're going to explain why, but yeah, that's why I said that in the beginning.
Mhm.
I don't know if I ever told you
Yeah.
that, but
So what we're talking about here, and this is again mostly for the Dodge Ram guys who didn't have one from the beginning, but when you start looking at old Chevy pickups, even current and older Ford pickups, they all have those little turn thingies.
yeah,
if we
on
want
the
to
front
call them,
wheels.
on the front wheels.
Mainly on, like Ben said, older Chevy trucks. All the Fords have
Yeah.
them.
Some Jeeps have them.
Jeeps. The thing with the Ram trucks, okay, the 4-wheel drive is being actuated basically in two different places. Okay, you have a center axle disconnect in a lot of trucks, and they
Mhm.
brought it back actually, like on the newer trucks, like my truck. Earlier trucks, so like 94 to 02 had a vacuum actuated center axle disconnect,
Mhm.
and then no hubs, right? No locking hubs, and then you're actuating it via the T case. What happens though is the even in 2-wheel drive on all these trucks from 94 to current, the front axle is still spinning.
Mhm.
All your U joints, all that stuff is still spinning, even if you're in 2-wheel drive. And then once you put the T case in 4-wheel drive, like on, let's say my truck, you put the T case in 4-wheel drive because it's a manual shift into 4-wheel drive. Then there's an electronic actuator in the front axle that connects the axle. Otherwise, you basically have like a 3-tire. You'd have 3-wheel drive
Yeah.
if that was not there.
And that electronic actuator that he's talking about on the axle, it's not something that you control. It actuates when you put the truck into 4-wheel drive. It's not a
Yes.
separate switch.
Yeah, same thing with, earlier, like let's say the 94 to 02s, vacuum actuated. That's why you have a vacuum pump. And that also, that controls your vents and your dash, some other things, mainly just the vents in your dash and your 4-wheel drive. But it's a vacuum actuator that basically not necessarily locks the front end and puts it in 4-wheel drive.
Basically,
an actual
it
true
moves
4-wheel
a
drive.
collar.
Moves a
to
collar
the
and
axle
connects the
shaft.
axle because the axle on one side is two pieces. You have a smaller stub shaft, and then you have the inner axle, and then it just locks it in place.
And here's, the second gen guys, if you guys didn't know this, they do have manual. I know we just said it's not actuated manually, but like they do
Yeah.
have kits you can do the retrofit.
It's called
to actually-
4x4 posi lock.
Yeah, so it's actually like a pull cable inside the cab because vacuum tends to leak. Also, if you're not making vacuum, it's not
Yeah.
locked up.
Right.
So they do make a manual one for that.
Yeah. So that's why free spin kits are so important because, again, with any of the generations of Ram trucks from 94 to new, that whole front assembly is spinning even in 2-wheel drive. So you're essentially two things. You've got a rotating mass that doesn't need to be there.
Mhm.
That is it does affect mileage and other things. But also you're essentially kind of you're wearing out parts without even using them, essentially.
Yeah, when you break it down, there's no positives. Like you're wearing out parts and you're not actually using them, and the rotating mass of the truck is increased.
Yeah.
The drag on the front wheels is increased. So
Yeah.
you're using more energy than you should have to.
Yeah, even though there's no power going to it from the T case, but it's still all connected and it's all spinning.
Mhm.
Where a free spin kit comes into play, and that's why it's called a free spin kit, is it actually unlocks the front wheels at the hubs.
Mhm.
Because on Ram trucks, you've got a unit bearing, not like a hub, like a Ford, where it's an actual hub, bearings, races.
Well, no, so depends on what year though, and we'll talk
Some
about
of them have the
about-
automatics.
Yeah, we're going to talk about Ford axles
we'll say
later.
in general.
Yeah. Let's talk about Ram axles for right now.
So with the Ram, you have a unit bearing, and then your stub shaft from your axle goes through that, and then there's one big old nut with a cotter pin in it that holds that all together, right? Well, the free spin kit gets rid of that unit bearing and actually puts in bearings and races in a lockable hub, so it disconnects it at the wheel. So your wheel can free spin, and we had a lot of people ask questions like, do the brakes still work? It's like, yes, the brakes still freaking work.
And if you saw that video,
Yeah.
and that is honestly one of the shortest, most
Yeah.
somewhat viral videos like we've ever done.
Yeah.
And I don't know if you can tell if it's on TikTok, but if you actually watch me push the wheel, like, and I'm in flip flops and the truck's on the rack, there's no weight on it.
Yeah.
I have the wheel,
You got shit for your flip flops too.
I did. Good.
I said they were steel toe though.
Yeah, good. It was like 105 degrees in the shop that day, so I just came out to film me super quick. But I had the hub locked in like it would be normally, and if you watch my arm, you can see how much force it takes me just to rotate the wheel.
Yeah.
Okay, it's not a lot, but you can see I'm not just like, oh, one finger, yay.
Yeah.
And then I unlock it, and then I like it, same force, but it keeps spinning.
Yeah.
It keeps going.
So
Not that I-
just on that same idea, so with the hubs, if you imagine you jacked up your truck before you put a free spin kit in and spun the wheel, you would look through like the C of your axle and you would see your U-joint spinning.
Mhm.
Okay. If you install a free spin kit and it's unlocked, you would spin the wheel and your U-joint is not spinning.
Mhm.
And that's the whole, you're now disconnecting it from the whole front axle at the wheel. And everything else still works, brakes, all that stuff, everything works perfectly. You're just taking that rotating mass out of the equation. And that's why guys will say you get possibly an extra, a little mile per gallon gain. It's just it's a better overall design, honestly. Like I'm a Ram guy. They should have done this from the very beginning. I don't know. That's like one of the stupid things that Ram did, along with a lot of other things, but it's one of the stupid things that they did. And even so, like with a free spin kit compared to, standard hubs, those hubs are expensive. The factory unit bearings. When I shouldn't say hubs because people get confused with hubs being the actual thing you turn.
Mhm.
Like lock the hubs in, we're going to put one in 4-wheel drive.
Mhm.
But those unit bearings get pretty expensive. And not to mention too, if you're wiping out, every so often you're wiping out unit bearings and U-joints, like that adds up to a lot of labor and a lot of time. Whereas you do a free spin kit and unlock it at the wheel, again, you're not spinning that U-joint. The ring and pinion really doesn't. I would say that's not really a wearing part, I guess, on that front axle. It's more comes down to like the U-joints and the unit bearings themselves. But putting that free spin kit in again, unlocking it at the wheel, it disengages it from that whole front axle and just allows it to spin freely. And then when you want to put it in 4-wheel drive, the only downside to free spin kit is when you want to put it in 4-wheel drive, you now have to get out and lock the hubs in. But anybody who's been around trucks their whole life, that's pretty, common practice.
That and so let's talk a little bit about Ford axles real quick here. We're not going to talk about Chevy axles on these newer trucks because they're IFS and grocery gators. So just saying.
Yeah. You're not going to need it for asphalt, all right?
Okay. Trust me, you can get through the Starbucks drive-through without 4-wheel drive.
Yeah.
Or locking your hubs in. You just got to scratch the living shit out of your 24 by 9 millions.
Yeah.
So Ford axles, we're going to talk, I'll break it into two sections here. You basically have your old school Dana 60, which is going to be the OBS trucks, ball joint or kingpin Dana 60, all the way up through like 97. Those did have the actual like bearings that you can pack, take them out, service them, put a preload on them, and then manual hubs on them.
Yeah.
And that is actually when you convert to a free spin kit, like from Yukon, Spin-Tech, Dynatrac, any of those, you do convert over to, conical bearings that you have an inner and an outer, you preload them, you can pack them, serviceable, all that kind of good stuff.
A lot cheaper to service.
Yes. And it goes away from the unit bearing on the Ram trucks. So, and that would be the same thing on the OBS trucks. But once you start getting into the 99 and up trucks, there's basically two axles. There's more than two in the front, but there's basically two. You have the leaf sprung trucks, and then you have the coil spring trucks. So basically 99 to 04 and 05 to just about current.
Yeah.
The 99 to 04s is probably what most people are familiar with, and those are quote unquote auto hubs. Yeah. There are other auto hubs on the market. The OBSs actually had a set of mechanical auto hubs, which is pretty cool. I actually have a set. I took them apart and looked at them. I was like, this is probably not very dependable, but I can see what they were trying to do here.
Right.
But what they did is they were vacuum actuated. So these had they still had a unit bearing in there, but the stub shaft goes through the unit bearing and then enters into a manual hub. From the factory, that manual hub has a little diaphragm on it, and when enough vacuum hits it, it clicks, locks the hub in, and now you're in four-wheel drive on both sides. Downside with that is there's a lot of room for vacuum leaks, and if you don't make enough vacuum, then you're not in four-wheel drive.
Yeah.
But not to worry, you can just get out, manually lock them in, and then you're in four-wheel drive after you shift the transfer case, obviously. The vacuum actuation is supposed to happen when the transfer case senses it's into four-wheel drive. So whether you have an on-the-dash switch or a floor shifter, like on your Ram, once it senses you're in four-wheel drive, the computer knows, hey, the little actuator sends from the vacuum pump, get those things going. But they leak really bad. Mine leak on the Excursion. My previous Excursion, they leaked. That's just nature of the beast.
Yeah.
But again, you can just get out, turn them in. Now, that being said, what Tyler was talking about, right? Oh, and the 05s and up, very similar. I don't recall if they are vacuum or electronic, but they do have an auto option. But again, from the factory, you can just get out, lock the hub, whatever.
Yeah.
Dynatrac does still make, and actually other companies do too, but they do still make free spin conversion kits for those trucks. At that point, I believe, if I recall correctly, it gets rid of the unit bearing altogether. Because the unit bearing is, again, a wearable item.
Yeah.
However, when you have a locking hub with a unit bearing, you do extend the life of that unit bearing a lot. Because, again, you're not pushing it around. It's not having to work as hard of a load all the time.
Yeah.
But common thing is like right now, it is snowing like a mofo in Spokane right now.
Yeah.
And you might be thinking to yourself, well, if I don't have auto hubs, it means every time I might go two-wheel drive, four-wheel drive, two-wheel drive, four-wheel drive, I got to get out and lock my hubs. I'll tell you what, guys, my hubs have been locked in for the last like 2.5 days.
Yeah. If you leave them locked in on a Ram, you're basically reverting back to its stock form, but you just have better bearings.
Yeah. So, and that way I know if I need to put it in four-wheel drive, like on my Excursion, it's on the dash, I just click it in four-wheel drive and off we go. I will say that I do try and, like, if I'm going in two-wheel drive on the freeway and, I try and limit, I definitely try and keep it under like 55, 60.
Yeah.
That's
where Rams come into play because without having a center axle disconnect, even turning with it locked, it's still going to act like it's in
I can feel it.
Four-wheel drive.
Yeah.
Whereas on a Ram, because you still have that center axle disconnect, it's even if you are driving around in two-wheel drive with your hubs locked, it's still going to feel like you're just in regular two-wheel drive because of that center axle disconnect. It's not connected on either side.
Right.
Whereas, like I said, if you took out if your center axle disconnect was not working and you put it in four-wheel drive and your hubs are locked, you'd have three-wheel drive.
Yeah.
Actually, would you? I don't even know if you would, because if it's not a locking differential, it's going to divert power to the freest spooling side. So
it might just spin that inner
It might
shaft.
just spin the inner shaft on one side, which is not giving you any power whatsoever. So
it's not helping anybody.
But regardless, what the main point of that whole what we were just talking about is with Ram trucks, like this time of year, you could leave it locked in. You ain't gonna notice any difference than what you had prior to you installing the free spin kit to begin with.
Yeah, and like on mine, if the hubs are locked in and I'm in two-wheel drive, my steering wheel is slightly heavier. Like I can tell when I'm locked in or not.
Yeah.
And let's say I'm in two-wheel drive and I've got the wheel cranked all the way, I can feel the U-joints like
doing the lurching.
Yeah. But I also know it's like, hey, don't crank the wheel all the way. My hubs are locked in.
Yeah.
Don't be that guy.
Yeah.
But that being said, the whole like free spin, if you're considering it and you're running larger wheels and tires, and this is one of those things also for you guys that want to run a really, really, really heavy offset wheel.
Yeah.
Think about a free spin kit. And the reason I say this, and I know a free spin kit, you may think to yourself, oh, that's for off-road guys. Those are for guys that like need to have them fuckers locked in, big tough thing. But here's the thing. When you have those really, really, really heavy offset wheels, let's take a journey with me here about where the weight of the vehicle sits and where you start having fulcrums. So you take these really, really big wide wheels and you push them really far out. You've now created a fulcrum. It's still there, but you've created even more stress on there because the wheels are far out.
Yeah.
That fulcrum falls on ball joints and unit bearings.
Yep.
You're going to go through unit bearings like crazy. Here's the thing, though. With the unit bearing, the the bearings inside, I don't know if it's two bearings next to each other, just very, very close together, or if it's one giant one. I think it's two. I'm not sure though.
I think it might be one.
It might just be one big bearing
one
set.
big like roller
Mhm.
bearing.
The thing is, when you go to a free spin kit, you now have two bearings. You've now widened that load, and the fulcrum may still be not in a great spot, but you have less pressure on one area. And then when you add into the fact that, so you've split that load between now two bearings, you've also slightly moved them away from the center of the axle.
And they're a tapered roller bearing.
A tapered roller bearing, yes. And also they are serviceable and rebuildable.
Yeah.
So instead of going through unit bearings once a year, you're now just servicing them maybe once a year or twice a year. Or if you happen to toast a bearing, you can like go down to your auto parts store, pick up a new Timken bearing for it.
Yeah.
And put it
Because
in.
the numbers are right on them, and that's what they use in pretty much all the kits is Timken stuff.
Yeah.
And you literally bring your shot bearing down to them, and they will. I almost guarantee every single auto parts store will have those bearings on hand, bearings and races.
Yeah. And that's honestly a great way to go.
And we're talking like you probably pay $40, $50 for a bearing and race, if that.
I'd say that right around there. I'd say at most, if you're at a store and they're charging a premium for it, you're probably going to pay $60 to $75 for it.
Okay, versus $500-$600 for a unit bearing.
Yeah,
And a lot is, and I'll be honest with you, some of those unit bearings are Snap-on made a tool to pop those things out, because what a lot of guys were doing is they were like using a puller from the outside of the knuckle to pull those unit bearings off. But what happens is those things get seized in there, and it actually, you start separating the bearing in the unit bearing itself. So Snap-on actually made a tool that you just take your because there's 4 bolts on the inside of that knuckle that holds the unit bearing in. If you take them out like halfway, and Snap-on made it looks like a long socket. It's like 3 inches long. And it's the correct head size for the bolts. And then on the end of it, it's just nothing. It's just like a punch, basically.
Yeah.
And so you put it on the bolt, and then you use the power steering to push the bearing out from the inside so it doesn't separate. You ever see that tool?
Yeah.
It's like the smoothest, easiest way to do unit bearings. But again, if you don't have that tool, like I've done it with, you could do it with a socket and extension. Just, use one that you don't rely on all the time, because what'll happen is you'll gnaw up what am I trying to say? Gall up the end where like your 1/2-inch drive ratchet would go into, and you're not going to be able to use it. But you can. It's essentially the same thing. It's like a socket. It's a socket with an extension on it, and then you turn the wheel, use the power steering to pop them out. Works really good.
This is also one of those things where Ford serviceability is just absolutely through the roof compared to Ram on this one. Not uncommon though. We all know Ford drivetrain, as far as like, transmission, axles, transfer case, tends to be pretty freaking superior.
Yeah.
But Ford axles, like if you have a unit bearing on like a leaf sprung truck, a 99 to 04, unit bearing go out, they are not hard to replace.
Yeah.
Like I'm talking roadside. If you have a bottle jack and a tool set and like your Harbor Freight tool set in the truck, you can do it.
Yeah.
Doesn't take any, you don't have to have this, you're not going to be having to have a special tool to get it unseized from the hub or anything like that. They just work, and it's very easy to service them. So hats off to you, Ford, on that one for doing it.
Yeah.
Couple of pro tips, maybe rules of thumb to go with. If you're you got your Ford truck or even your Ram truck, and you've got your wheels off or you're getting ready to service stuff, and you start hearing like you spin the wheel. This should be honestly common practice. Whenever I have a truck off the ground and wheel off the ground, I spin the wheel and listen.
Yeah.
And if you start hearing that, or like almost like it's crunchy going on there, your unit bearing is on its way out.
Yeah.
That's what that sound is. When unit bearings fail, that is your connection from the wheel to your knuckle. And if you manage to toast that bearing and you waller it out and whatnot, your wheel with the lug nuts and that side of the unit bearing may in fact ejectocito, cuz like unit bearings are not a maintenance item to sleep on.
Yeah.
Don't fuck around with those.
Yeah.
And also, unless you're under the gun, like a roadside repair thing, if one side is going, The other side is not far behind, so
Yeah.
plan on doing both.
Well, and I can tell you right now, doing a roadside repair with a unit on a unit bearing, not going to be fun at all. Especially if it's a truck with miles on it.
Yeah, on a Ram.
It is going
Yeah.
to be a pain in the ass. It is not going to be fun whatsoever.
Yeah.
Yeah. Even if you would have to have a jack, you'd have to have jack stands, like you'd have to have a lot of shit. So it's not fun, and it's one of those things that kind of hurts one time when you buy it, but after that, like you just have that peace of mind of knowing, like even if something fails, it is a roadside repair. It is a lot easier to. I mean, any sort of axle repair on the road is not going to be fun regardless, but it's a hell of a lot easier than doing a unit bearing.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, but that again, that's why they're called. Short of everything I just said, forget it. Not forget it, but back to the beginning of this episode.
Uh-huh.
That's why they're called free spin kits. Okay, because you're exactly what we just explained. You're freeing up. In order to have it lock and unlock, you need to free it up first.
Yeah.
Like that, and that's what got me. Like every single comment was, "That's those are just hubs. Those are just hubs." If you just put hubs on a essentially. You can't just put hubs on a Ram, for one.
Mm-hmm.
So you have to unlock it before you can lock it.
Yeah.
If that makes sense.
You got to go left before
Yeah.
you go right.
Yeah.
Go
Yeah.
up
Well, you know what we
before
should talk
you go
about
down.
too is when you should use 4-wheel drive.
Yeah.
Because this is one thing that actually pisses me off more
Oh,
than anything in the
totally.
freaking world is when I'm trying to get to work or trying to get someplace and there's some asshole in a truck. Yes, there people like this are out there.
Clearly a 4-wheel drive truck. too.
Clearly a 4-wheel drive truck, and it's not lifted tall enough to have a Bluetooth drive shaft. I know that for a fact.
Mhm.
And you're sitting there in a turn lane or something, and you're just and then you're the only one who makes the light. That makes me want to get out my gun and shoot you. Because, like, you dick. I cannot stand that.
It's very
Like, I
annoying.
hate being that guy. I don't ever want to be that guy that someone's waiting on because I'm in 2-wheel drive when I clearly have the means to be able to efficiently get through the intersection.
Yeah.
Because also, too, you got to think of there's probably other people behind you that see that green light and are thinking, oh, we're going. And now guess what? He's getting so close to you. Now he can't stop because it's slick out. And now he
Mhm.
smacks the back of your truck because the asshole in front of you is in 2-wheel drive trying to make a point that he still can go everywhere in 2-wheel drive. Guess what? Nobody gives a shit.
Yeah.
The only, like, there's actually people like I've talked about this with someone from this was a long time ago, but talking about like people on the trail, like even with side-by-side stuff, people on the trail that are trying like hell just because they want to make it in 2-wheel drive.
Yeah.
But then they're doing it 30 goddamn times, and there's someone behind you going, just put the son of a bitch in 4-wheel drive and make the freaking trail, you jerk.
Yeah.
Like, I can't stand that. Just put it in freaking 4-wheel drive.
It's like you
There's
have
no,
it.
there's no like, oh my god, look at that guy. He's in
Yeah.
4-wheel drive. What a douche. He can't even make it in 2. No, nobody thinks that. I just want to get to point A to point B as
Yeah.
efficiently and quick, especially when the weather's like this. I don't want to be out on the road any longer than I have to. Like, yeah, when I was a kid, I would drive around in a front-wheel drive car doing Bernies in neighborhoods and stuff, but that's a totally different thing. Like when you're just trying to get home after work.
Yeah. Or
and
to work.
Or to work, and there's that jerk that's just everywhere. Like, dude.
I don't understand that either. I had one of those guys behind me
Yeah.
today when I was getting off the freeway.
Yeah.
And again, like today, it's November 30th, but it dumped a ton last night. It's getting real cold. So it all stuck around. So, a lot of us were out shoveling early in the morning. Josh was out plowing his driveway probably at, freaking midnight multiple times. But it makes for like a very eventful drive getting into work because, even school was canceled even today.
Yeah.
And still, there were still people out there trying to like, make it in 2-wheel drive. And I'm like, this is the time. This is game time. This is the reason that you bought a 4-wheel drive truck. And especially, I don't know what it is, but I tend to see a lot of it with the Chevy 1500 guys. And I'm sitting out there and I'm literally just like, I know what your interior looks like. Just press the fucking button.
Yeah.
Press the button.
Yeah.
That's all you got to do.
Yeah. Yeah.
Press the button.
Yeah.
That's all you got
That's
to do.
it. Yeah.
And I'm and I could see him behind me too because it was coming up on Broadway to get off of the freeway, and it's at an incline at the light.
Yeah.
And so I see him like come around the exit, fishtailing, and then fishtailing the other way, and then fishtailing the other way, and stopping, and then light turns green. I go because I'm in 4-wheel drive.
Yeah.
And I'm fine.
Yeah.
And also tire selection too. But at the end of the day, like it just
I think that's all fake.
as long as you're in 4-wheel drive and you understand what you're doing, there's a lot you can do with really shitty tires. Tyler will tell you about that in a minute. But in this guy, like we turn in like the light, and I look behind him, and he is like nearly 90 degrees, wheel cranked, just just roosting everything.
Yeah.
And it'd be one thing if it's 10 o'clock at night and we are the only people at this exit.
Right.
Let her eat, dude. Fucking get it.
Yeah.
Have a good time. But it is 7:45 at a major freeway overpass intersection.
Yeah.
There's people to the left waiting at the stoplight. There's people to the right coming down the overpass where it's slick, possibly not making it through a stoplight, and you're over here just try to get your rocks off, and like, dude,
Like, just
I am
stop.
gonna have to pull you off the curb, aren't I?
Yeah.
Like, we're gonna tangent in here too, but like,
Two things.
keeping shit in your truck or your excursion, like I have to pull people out of where they're supposed to be.
Yeah.
I've already used that 3 or 4 times this season. I didn't even I pulled it out once, haven't even put it away. I got my toe strap and my soft shackles, and I've just been yanking people out all fucking winter.
Yeah.
And I'm sitting there like, I'm gonna have to yank this motherfucker out too.
Yeah.
Like, God damn it. And I also saw a lady on the way into work today. I assume lady. I'm not trying to be gender specific here, but I think it was a lady. Yeah, it was either a very old feminine looking man, or it's definitely a grandma type deal.
Okay.
Maybe a older mom.
Mrs. Doubtfire.
Mrs. Doubtfire, yeah. In a RAV4, clearly spun out on the freeway on the shoulder, the number 1 lane. And, I can see her like moving the wheel, and the front tires are moving. I don't see any major body damage. And you can see her tracks as she like went off.
Yeah.
Like she probably just doinked the median. Like, like barely, she probably can't even tell where she hit on her bumper, obviously. It's like it's an older 2000s RAV4.
Yeah.
And she's just sitting there. Didn't even have flashers on. And I'm sitting there thinking to myself, like, lady, drive.
Yeah.
Drive, get the hell out of there. Like, you are going to get hit.
Yeah.
Your nose is in the lane.
Yeah.
There are semis behind us.
Yeah.
Get the fuck out of there. I need to put that in drive and pin it.
Yeah.
Run.
Yeah.
And
Do something.
Again, I'm sitting there, I'm like, do I get her out of there? Do I get her out of there? Like, and I'm trying to think, like, if I stop and try and pull this lady out, there's
You
a good
might get
chance
hit.
she and I are both going to get hit.
Yeah, I wouldn't
And-
risk it.
And like, it'd be one thing if it's like on the right hand and they're like slid off a little bit. I'm all for helping people. Like if I can, I will. But at the same time, you also have to look at like, I don't have emergency flashers. I'm probably like the first or second person. People like are still behind us. You can see them sliding as they're trying to stop. And I'm like, I'm just going to cause more. I'm out of here. Like,
Sometimes you just gotta let the old go.
They did their time. The Great Depression, the moon landing.
Yes, you never know when it's your time, but it
Yeah.
just might be that time for them, and I ain't gonna risk my life for that.
They saw a lot.
That's-
Electricity. The Wright brothers.
Cell phones.
Cell phones.
It's amazing.
TikTok.
So speaking of stupid people, I know I already told you. I never told you. So this is like, was this Monday? I think it was Monday. Anyway, it doesn't matter.
Oh, yeah.
Dude, I'm sitting on my. So my wife's in Colorado. I got nothing going on. I'm just sitting at home, and the way my house is, like my house faces, like we're on a dead end road, and then but like my living room, like our road dead ends, but there's a road that you can go to the left or the right. I'm sorry, and like go north, right? And so my living room looks right up that road, and
That was part of what made me laugh. So I was like, you live on a dead end, man. What the fuck's going on?
I'm sitting there with my pup. We're just on the couch watching TV, whatnot. I see out of the corner of my eye like, headlights, and I just glance over, and there's this white 4-door sedan that's just freaking just. I mean, he must have been going 30, 35, just coming in sideways, right? Okay. Most all the curbs in our neighborhood are like those like rollover ones, you know what I'm talking about? He managed to hit with his front end so hard on like the sewer entrance, right? Because sometimes it'll have like the for the water, the drain, the runoff to go.
Yeah.
He managed to smoke that thing sideways so freaking hard that it completely busted out like his whole front like K member out of this freaking car, dude. Lower A arm broke. It broke the steering shaft going into the steering rack.
What?
It just sat like I'm sitting there looking at him, and he like goes forward for a second, and then he backs up like he was like gonna go in the yard, and I'm just sitting there. I'm like, God damn it, I'm gonna have to go out there and help him, aren't I? And I'm looking at him. I'm like, well, I kind of want to see what he broke because like I could clearly see one wheel is like completely turned, and there's no like it's jacked, and I thought it was like a chick. And I'm like, okay, fuck it. I'll go out there. And I go out there, and it's a younger guy. Needs to say he's not from around here. And the first thing he says is, I hit an ice patch. I'm like, the whole road?
I was like, the whole neighborhood's ice right there, guy.
And he's like, I was like, does it move? He's like, you can try it. And I hop in there and I turn the wheel, and the wheel just literally is just spinning, dude. It doesn't stop. He's like, my four ways, my turn signals doesn't work. I'm like, yeah, because your clock spring's all jacked. Like, and I look under there, and his lower A-arm is completely snapped off. It looks like the whole front of the car is moving separately from the body. And I'm just like, dude, you got us a good one, man. Like yeah, man, you got her good. Like there's nothing, but just like to see that out of the corner of my eye, I'm just like, dude, you were freaking hauling ass down that road and tried to take that. And if he wouldn't have hit that spot, he probably would have been fine. He would have just been in my neighbor's yard.
Yeah.
It was stuck in my neighbor's yard, guaranteed. But he just managed to smoke that drainage, and it's all metal, right? He just smacked it so freaking hard, and I'm just like, oh my freaking God.
So the process, the thing that comes into my mind right now is, let's say this dude's not from this neighborhood, all right?
Yeah.
But Tyler's house is at like the top of the T of a T intersection, just off a little bit.
Yeah.
And then to his left, like not even like
It's one
a
house,
half mile,
dead
it's
end.
one house and there's a dead end. So no one's coming into Tyler's area hot, ever.
Yeah, they
okay?
are like, watch out.
Watch out.
Like-
But I'm just thinking of this guy. So he's coming south on the the long standing part of the T.
Yeah.
And for him to hit that fast,
Yeah.
he must have been standing on the brakes for probably 3 seconds. Like he was all the way back because the whole thing was ice.
Oh, dude, the whole thing's ice.
I know that area. It
Yeah.
gets ice and doesn't leave.
Dude, and there's,
So
yeah,
he's been
because it's all in the
sitting-
shade. Yeah, he just,
So he somewhere up the road, he was like, "Yeah, 35 is a great idea." And then he managed to see the
Oh,
T
shit, the
intersection
turn's
coming up,
coming.
and he's like, "I'm going to lay on the brakes," and I'm stomping on the brakes, like, and he's,
Nothing's happening.
and he's still like 300 feet away. He's like, "Ah, shit!"
it's like
Just
the most long,
impending doom.
drawn out, like, oh, crap. Crap. Oh, crap. Oh, here we go. Oh, my God, I'm going to hit. Like he
had time to text his wife, "I'm getting in an accident right now.
Yeah, literally hasn't hit yet.
I'm
Now
sliding. I'm about to hit. I'll call you later."
And, dude, and he wiped out that whole front of that car. And the best part is his house is like 3 houses down. And so another neighbor showed up with a strap, and I hook it up for him, and we hook it to his. It was like an expedition, and things like it actually tracked straight right behind him. We just parked it right in front of his house. I'm like, see, bro, like, that sucks, dude. That thing's totaled. Like that stupid mistake just totaled that freaking car. It hasn't moved. But I'll go with the tire thing. So my tires are shit.
Total
Like they're
shit.
junk. When the snow first started flying, I was actually kind of a little nervous on like, oh man.
I was nervous for you.
Well, the first time I last year, first winter with that truck, I was like, wow, this thing's like a freaking lead sled. Like this thing can slide. Like, like I'm not looking to do that, right? And that was with fresh tires.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's just like I've gotten so used to the truck, like I know how it's gonna react, or maybe I've just unlocked a new level of tire from burning them down so much.
I
don't
think
know.
that it's the.
Like-
I think you're getting extra traction because you're on the wear bars.
Yeah, maybe.
That's it.
I don't know.
Oh.
Those
'Cause
little
you're-
tiny
you're
wear
using
bars.
you're using
Dude,
the wear
I don't know
bars
what about
now.
it, but I literally I told Ben, I was like, I literally caught myself saying tiger paw. Like I'm like tiger paw. Like I got this. Like as I was driving into work, because I was like, wait a second, I have bald ass tires. Like this shouldn't be doing this right now. I mean, actually, I've been actually impressed on how good bald tires do in the snow. Nice.
Yeah, your tires should not be working right now.
No,
Not even a little bit.
no.
My open country, Toy Open Country Extreme AT2s have been fucking
Yeah,
tastic.
nobody likes a breaker.
I know.
You got new tires you can put on right
yeah,
now, don't you?
Yoko Geos.
Oh, Yoko Geo.
Yoko.
yeah, yeah.
Sick.
We'll see how those go.
Oh, sure, that'll be great.
God, it looks so good too.
It does look good. It
Ah.
does look good.
But,
What did I hear? You did? They didn't send you lug nuts?
I didn't bring the right rim because I got 5 rims because they're discontinued.
Oh.
I didn't bring the right box that had the lug nuts in it.
Oh. Does your other one still work?
Yeah.
Oh, cool.
That's fine. I'll swap them out this weekend and
There
call
you
it good.
Oh, yeah.
Very nice.
I did see a question on the
Mhm.
YouTubes today.
Yeah, me.
They want a gravy update.
First off, I hope you guys liked our Thanksgiving Day
Yeah.
episode. We really enjoyed making it. Like I don't think we talked about a truck or
So
anything truck related.
my Thanksgiving, I kind of party a little too hard the night before, and
It's
then,
called Blackout Wednesday for a reason.
And then I don't want to get into it too much, but like I've got some family stuff going on with my mom, and so I didn't try it. I didn't dive into the gravy.
That's okay.
It was
There's
just
always
there was
Christmas.
other things going on. So I will try some gravy, and I will see if I can hop on that gravy train.
I fucking made probably the best gravy I've ever made in my life.
Yeah.
For those of you that are, first off, any of you younger guys or maybe just got married and now it's your job to cook the turkey.
Yeah.
Couple of pro tips. One.
Save the neck for me.
Yeah. Save that up for me, Clark.
What?
Yeah. Step 1. Okay. You should always shoot. I don't care how big your bird is.
Shoot the bird in the head,
Yeah. But
so you don't ruin the meat.
But save the neck. But you should shoot to have that bird like in the oven cooking by 11 a.m. I don't care how early or late you plan on it. Maybe even 10.
If you're oven cooking,
If you're oven cooking, yes.
there's other
There's other ways, but like I oven cook. Maybe if I would like to start deep frying stuff, but just not yet, not there yet.
Yeah.
But yeah, you should be starting. That shit should be seasoned and in the oven at a proper temperature by 11.
Yeah.
Period.
Yeah.
I would also highly recommend a Bluetooth thermometer that you can put into the bird, so you don't have to actually keep opening the damn oven. Also, you need a thermometer in the oven as well to get the actual temperature of the oven. That ruined me the first 3 years because I couldn't figure it out because my oven was like, it's 350. Yeah, it's 350. And then you're like, it's 5:30. Why is my turkey only 100 degrees inside? And then I realized that my oven was not quite telling me the right temperature.
I'm gonna stop you real quick just because
Yeah.
I want to bring up a story about me cooking a turkey in my Traeger for the first time.
Yeah. Oh,
like
that
3
was
years
so
ago.
good.
So I had my Traeger set up in my driveway out
Mhm.
front, kind of partially in my like garage opening, right? Because I wanted
Mhm.
the smoke to go out, and the son of a bitch would turn off on me. Like it would get cold. Like it was a weird. And I talked to Kyle about it because Kyle, our former employee, his like uncle or something worked for Traeger, wasn't it?
Something like that, yeah. But
Anyways,
he
I was
has a
asking about it.
very
He's-
in-depth Traeger knowledge.
Yeah, he is. So,
Yeah.
but it would shut off,
Mhm.
and I had to restart. Dude, by the time I got that turkey cooked, it literally tasted like you ate the chips. Like it was like so smoky.
Oh, wow.
Like, dude, it was almost too much.
Uh-huh.
It was good. It was moist, but it was literally like every time you took a bite of turkey, you were smoking a cigar that was whatever cherry, whatever. I don't know.
You know what would really help that? Gravy.
Well, it was just too much smoke though. A good turkey, you can have it by itself. I think
Yeah.
with any.
You
I
should,
think with
yeah.
any meat, it should be good by itself
I agree.
when you're cooking it. But this was like way too much smoke. Like it was just too much. It's like, wow, I'm like sitting in the campfire eating this turkey. Like it was weird. Anyways, go ahead with your turkey.
Yeah.
the best way to cook
you
it.
need a thermometer in the oven to tell you what temperature it is. If you have one of those and it's a Bluetooth one as well, that's great. But I just have one that's like a normal. It just stays in the oven and tell me all the time.
Yeah.
But yeah, a Bluetooth. Also make sure your battery is fresh because you're basically cooking this fucker for like 6 hours.
Yeah.
Also, the same time that the turkey goes in the oven, that's when you start your gravy. I'm dead serious. You take the like the turkey we have had the gizzards in a paper, a cookable paper bag,
Yeah.
and then the neck on itself. And I just whatever seasoning I have left over from the turkey, I'll put that in a pot. I will put everything in the pot and I'll cover it so it's probably got 4 or 5 inches of water above it, and just put that fucker on high. Get it to a proper boil. That shit's hot. And then basically just keep turning it down to where it's still boiling and just let that shit simmer.
Yeah.
Just make sure that the water level doesn't get low because you're eventually going to break down all of that meat on that neck. All the vertebrae is going to start falling apart. You got to fish them out later and whatnot.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's the idea. You want I want that neck meat in my gravy.
Yeah.
Like,
We give the gizzards and all that stuff to the dogs.
oh, I'm sure they love it.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, turkey ended up really good. Gravy ended up great. Mashed potatoes ended up great. All that stuff was awesome. It was all around a good Thanksgiving in the little household. We had our
Good deal.
my in-laws came up, which is great. My mother and father-in-law, my sister-in-law, brother-in-law couldn't make it. I know he doesn't listen to this podcast, but yeah, he's a
Bitch.
yeah, he's a EMT firefighter out in Wisconsin.
Is that the one I met that was there for your gender reveal?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, Eric's dope.
Bitch.
Yeah. Anytime we FaceTime him, he's always at work, obviously, because he's a firefighter, but anytime we FaceTime him, I'm always like, "Sup, gay boy?" As loud as I can make, because I want everybody in the firehouse to hear. So they could be like, "Dude, who was it?" He's like, "It's my fucking brother-in-law." Like, sounds like an asshole. He's like, "He's my grand big in the fraternity, too. I can't fucking escape him." I'm like, "Yeah, that's right, bitch.
Yeah. I own you.
I own you." I love that guy. But, ladies and gentlemen, that's going to about wrap this one up. I know we just covered basically Thanksgiving stuff and free spin stuff, but long story short, if you're thinking about a free spin kit, especially if you have a RAM, the benefits, in my opinion, greatly outweigh any of the drawbacks. I will say they are not cheap. Free spin kits are going to run you anywhere.
Buy one, cry once.
Buy once, cry once. They're going to run you anywhere from 15 to 25. We usually have 3 different options on our website: SpinTech, Yukon, and Dynatrack. I will say our go-to is Dynatrack. They offer that with the Warn hubs or the Dynalog hubs. The Dynalog hubs are the best hubs in the industry. That's what Howitzer has. That's what all of our off-road rigs have, even for Jeeps and whatnot. All of our Pro Rock 80s, all of our 60s, all have Dynalog
Nothing wrong
hubs.
with the Warns, though. They're great as well.
Yeah, like any of you guys are basically, if you're not using your truck off-road, like just get the Warn hubs. Save it's like a $500 difference or something like that. Just get the Warn hubs on there. It's the Warn, the gold one, the premium hubs everybody likes. They've been around for like 50 years. They're great. But if you're one of those guys that like, when I lock my hubs in, it's because my toy hauler is hooked up to my oil rig and I'm leaving the site and I'm like, for me to get out, I gotta have his fuckers like in, and I gotta be pinned for like 20 minutes.
Get the Dynalogs.
Get the Dynalogs.
Yeah, and also make sure your wheel has a big enough opening to make sure to accommodate.
Yes, we do have we have specs on the website as far as hub bore to be able to get through and whatnot.
Yep.
But that being said, folks, we greatly appreciate all of you guys tuning in. I hope everybody had a fantastic Thanksgiving. And that
Merry Christmas.
And everybody's gearing up to have a great freaking Christmas. So that's it. We'll see you on the next one.
Bye. Thanks for tuning in. Make sure to subscribe and check us out at dieselpowerproducts.com.